So I mean, you know, these are courtesies extended to people being accused of something, and to me that makes sense. I mean, even if it was technically possible, which it was, that I filed the case in New Jersey, I wouldn't have done it anyway, just as a courtesy, just out of the fact that you're accusing people of something that live 2,000 miles away, and I would be obliging them to interact with a court system that was 2,000 miles away from where they lived. And that does seem inherently unfair. So just out of courtesy, I would have filed it in Texas. And on the second issue, 2 of the plaintiffs live where I filed the case, you asshole. Okay, I filed it there so the applicable libel statutes would apply to them. All right, it is a libel case after the copyright issue. The 2 are combined. I'm claiming that libel is not fair use. I mean, it's not that complex an argument. If somebody is using your content to libel you, I'm making a simple claim that it cannot qualify as fair use then. I mean, shit. Grow a brain.
You filed a lawsuit in New Jersey, you go to New Jersey. If you file it in Texas, you go to fucking Texas. I have a...
Yeah, well, you know nothing about the law. Why don't you read the DMCA? I mean, even in there, it's pointing out that you're obligated to file the case in the place where the person lives.
Suggestion next time you want to file a frivolous lawsuit against anyone, why don't you file it in Siberia? And then tell the judge that you cannot go because of your impediments and have all the defendants.
Yeah, well, why don't you say Jones-R couldn't go because of his impediments? Why don't you use the same rhetoric? Because Jones-R filed a paper saying he wasn't going to show up for the conference either. So why don't you make that argument? He lives in Texas, I don't. So why don't you ridicule him for not showing up? I mean, if I won the case based on his inability to get to the court, would you be gloating? Would you think that was a great move by the court? Oh, I win the case because he didn't show up. So it would have been a brilliant legal maneuver. It would have been brilliant justice that would have been served because some party couldn't show up. The other guy wins. You think that's brilliant? You think that's great law? You're such an asshole.
Have to go to Siberia. Now that makes a lot more sense. Or, you know what's even better? Maybe you can tell the judges that we can have the case in your living room, if that's convenient to you, of course. And please, don't blame the judges for...
Well, really, technically, this is the internet age, okay? There's no reason why... I mean, teleconferencing's been around for 50 fucking years. Alright, there's no reason why a 30-minute conference could not take place by telephone. They routinely take place by telephone. I've been in them, so I know they routinely take place, you asshole. Okay, it's done all the fucking time.
For your own stupidity. This is what happens when you try to play lawyer and you don't know the law. This is what happens, you get screwed in the ass. But you know what's really funny in Mendham? You're acting like you just learned about this order of conference. Now, I don't want to call you a liar, but you're a fucking liar.
Yeah, well, go ahead. You add on some more crap, okay? Go ahead. That's a libelous statement.
You're a fucking deceitful, manipulating liar.
Yeah, prove it, fucker. You know, it was something rational. You know, except the puke that comes out of your mouth. Just some kind of rational argument.
That's what you are. Here is actually the first order of conference. And you can see that it's scheduled for October the 29th. Which means that you had a long time before you knew about this. And then you had it postponed, which means you knew about the order of conference. So stop lying, you deceive.
Well, how did I lie? Of course I knew about it. It's in my papers. It's in what I wrote about the conference. The point is I filed papers saying I'm not going to be showing up for the conference. They didn't let me know until a day and a half before the conference that I have to show up. They didn't respond to the papers I filed 2 months ago, okay, until a day and a half before the conference. Yeah.
Bullshit. Come on in, Mendham. I know that you can whine like the little piggy you are.
You know, I remember when you were whining, oh, I've gotten crank phone calls, and you were crying you had to leave YouTube. Remember when you whined like a little fucking 5-year-old? A little 5-year-old baby? Remember when you whined?
And don't tell us it's because you don't have a lawyer. They're not denying you the right, you fucking liar.
Well, you know, again, a rational person is going to see there's nothing in this procedure that is extraordinary or different than any other case. All right, and we can demonstrate that in other cases there is teleconferencing. They don't waste money pointlessly. I mean, that's why they even have an electronic document system now, is to take some of the waste out of the system. All right, they try to make it cheaper for the lawyers so the lawyers can make even more money. All right, so why wouldn't they allow that to apply in this case? There's only one reason: because there's no lawyer making $200 an hour.
It's simply that you have to go to Texas. Why do you have to go to Texas? I'll explain. In the order of conference, if you go to number 9, you will read, a person litigating pro se is bound by the requirements imposed upon counsel in this order. You know what that means? That means that just because you're a fucking fruitcake that files lawsuits.
Yeah, well, actually that statement doesn't apply, because if you actually read Supreme Court, the Supreme Court of the United States, their decisions, okay, that statement doesn't really hold any water, all right, because they aren't held to the same standards. And regardless, even if that were true, lawyers teleconference, okay? Lawyers aren't required to fly to Texas, okay, to meet for a half an hour, okay? They aren't.
And cannot afford a lawyer doesn't get any special treatment.
Again, it's not special treatment. It's done routinely. You can really figure that out, can't you? Can't you imagine to yourself that the legal system has some economies built into it by now? I mean, it is fucktard. It's like the post office, like anything the government handles. I mean, it has a lot of legacy bullshit in it, but you can sort of imagine that after 20 years of internet, that they finally have gotten, you know, some of that stuff figured out, and they kind of know how to pick up a telephone and have 3 people talk on a telephone.
You have to do the same thing any other plaintiff would have to do. Just because you're in Mendham doesn't mean you get special treatment. And
it's not about special treatment. So let's take your argument, like I said, to its logical conclusion. So what you're saying is that any small copyright holder, a musician or something, say somebody has stolen his content, and they can only get back maybe $3,000 or $4,000 in a legal action. Well, all that money's gone. They're not going to get anything back, because they'd have to pay to have a lawyer travel 1,500 miles 6 times. So what are you celebrating? You're celebrating the fact that our laws don't apply. They're only there to protect CBS and Sony and all the big companies, and they're not there to protect the little guy. And you're going to celebrate that. Fuck you.
And isn't it ironic that you were pissed off because of the local laws of Texas while you were trying?
It's not a local law of Texas, you idiot. There's circuits, federal circuits, okay? There's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th circuit courts, okay? And so it's those local federal circuit courts can have local rules, all right? It's not a Texas law, it's a circuit law. All right, and it's not even, it's a rule of their court system, and it technically should never be used to deny a cause of action. So that will be what can be litigated here. That's what will win on appeal, all right, because a local rule can't supersede the federal rules of procedure, civil procedure. All right, you dumb fuck.
Trying to impose Texas laws on me? Someone who is not even an American citizen?
Look, I explained before, you asshole. You were included in the litigation just to see what the judge thought the DMCA procedure would be against somebody in a foreign country. All right, and yes, there are YouTube is an American company. They have to abide by American law. Americans believe that there is such a thing as libel and slander. Americans used to shoot each other in the head, okay? They used to have duels when they dishonored each other, all right? And they abolished dueling, and they came up with a better way to solve these problems. They created laws that enabled people to say, that fucker has wronged me. All right, and YouTube has to obey those laws. It cannot operate outside of those laws. So if the DMCA doesn't work to protect Americans from potty mouths in Mexico, then something's going to have to change. And that's the real evil of this whole thing. You're basically, it's assholes like you that will cause something to happen, and the something that might happen might be worse, okay, than we want to have happen. But because, you know, you force the issue, then something has to be done. And so you create the environment that forces government to have to act eventually. And so it's your fucktard. You're the fucktards responsible for ruining freedom because you can't use it responsibly.